the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
Ebia ensunsanso bonia galamsey ye no man konkron Ghana ha ede ebre wo man konkron Ghana no unim ho nimdie bia na doctor bia sese waben na woye chemist na eba no ensunsanso bonia galamsey ede bre ye duane wasua ho de na waye research na wafa Ghana ye nuane na wode laboratory no hu yale ene poisoner ewo mu no etimu ababekasa na ne din e de Dr. Enoch na busua mesel say wobekọ na wososo wakwakotibi na wososo wahwe wadua ne din mu ye efiri na ekọ na abusua wose John Domini Mahama sese de adi na duru ne research o maye na eniema wo mode wo muni hu ewa fidie mu no galamsey no wonyan eni animonu ya abusua mame fa wonko na ensema Dr. Enoch Walker na sese yen kontomira yedi no mai konkron Ghana ha no bonhwe ya ye be kra kontomire efram no ne ene de ba mai konkron Ghana ha yen ko na kokoti bibra ne ba Nsem-Pii TV yene tifo ebeto aso.
Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Asante.
Yeah, apologies. Sir, watch our Hamana. So, Doctor, my name is a chemist. Now, munim day. Are you worried? Says in contumely in toes. Says heavy metals na FAD. Were friend then turbidity levels. Baby, you do 11,000 no money, 94,000 no money. Young and niche or may a niche. Now you're chemist. You're a niche.
Dr. Santina, that's a pan. I'm a chair or chef for you. Yes, I'm worried. And everyone should be worried. Because this a huge concern. If you see the fact that these mining activities are exposing heavy metals to the crops, the water. Of course, they account about the water, and if we saw a cancer, turbidity, bad. High turbidity is not good for anyone. But largely, the biggest cause, impact of turbidity, on the aquatic organisms, there's restriction light, for photosynthesis and so on. But for the biggest cost is in terms of processing. Ghana Water Company, the aluminium sulfate is not really able to coagulate the water, with such high turbidity levels, and therefore they have to use other polymers which are quite expensive, about 3-4 times the cost of the aluminium sulfates, the alum that is used. But in terms of health risk itself, it's not the biggest concern, because the things that are very toxic to us, it's not the things that and when so and so the heavy metals, the mercury, the lead, the cadmium, arsenic, and so on, what serious toxic health effects. And it's of concern because, first of all, mercury, we know for certain, so mercury, cause cancer, mutagenic, a change DNA, teratogenic. It's able to cross the blood-brain barrier. It's go into the brain, the central nervous system. Now, when you consider, say, all of these are getting into the food that we eat, they are already in the water. They get into the food. They are in the air, in the soils. And the area said, once these metals are introduced into the environment, they don't break down. Baba, for generations, it can remain in the environment and it can cause considerable health effects. In JBM, you will say, gold prices very high, $3,700 an ounce, and therefore we are happy. Yen to 2 years, say, BBR or China. The impact will be clear and will be seen. So as we talk about this, and as we educate, and as we talk, and government is being quite lackadaisical in terms of say, this serious. Let's look at the environmental and health impacts. Okay. Let's consider this and a lot of these NGOs, our sister here, Auntie Elizabeth, and a number of these NGOs, Arocha, and all of these, they've been out and everybody is talking. But we seem to be focused only on the money, the economic, but not on the environmental and health risk. And it is a real concern. And it's important as people are seeing the fact that, for instance, contumely, IND, heavy metals, in one area where mining had occurred and it had stopped for almost 10 years, when we looked at the crops, any plants, a champion near there, a year or so, the levels of these metals in them were quite high. Even after these activities, the tendency is a plants it's still very, very high. It's something that we should all be concerned. And seeing now about what is happening, because as soon as if but it's not
as
just
a chemist in the area of chemistry, South say, then yenye enumanimu ya nkuntomre na adie wuramu ntos namono huniema edimanimu ya abaninye den in the area of chemistry awuhunu sensuno ne nansana mehwe mfoni bi wo se sensunu bi efi asetawo na mo de mo ka kire nze enitwa sabisabi enka hwe ewuduru wom den na abaninye in the area of chemistry na yemfan nsuadia no, because kasa na wo kana na mo kire no abomi hu se metia.
That's Dr. Kwame. And the mechanic said, first of all, it's clear say the mining na and yet in fact not so. Okay, so we talk about two main ways, especially the small scale mining. We talk about the illegal small scale mining. We need permits to mine. And we're finding a man who could do baby now mining keke. Just because already and yet legal, they do whatever they want, they destroy everything, they add the metals, they release these metals from the environment, and they destroy everything. And then the second one here, almost say your permits. In the end, the hammer, and we have permit from EPA and all these other mining. So we find out say they are not mining sustainably. Okay, it's the point that the government has to really sit down. Part of the reason why people are saying, say, okay, let there be a state of emergency is that let us stop and now consider what we are doing and the impact that is having for the environment. The president talked about this, that we have the laws, and so on over there, and we have enough laws, and so on. And I agree, we are not enforcing those laws. We seem to be oblivious, or no, not oblivious, happy about the fact that, so far as we are getting the gold and we are making money, it is fine. We can worry about this thing later. And sometimes that's the biggest challenge. Bringing military and so on into zones and having that name mark and all of those, wonderful. But the implementation, it's the problem. And here, this is my point. We have to ensure the strict adherence to sustainable mining practices. Necessarily, strict adherence to sustainable mining practices. The president says that there are about 4,000 people who are involved in which you can't just stop, and so on. If we cannot just stop, we can't just allow people just to mine anyhow. Clearly, because it's not sustainable, and the health and environmental.
Young heavy metals here would uncontumerium, untos in Honiama, and when you are then young I disania me did is a woody, midi, ubiedi, then yenye, and when we are from chemistry point of view.
Cecilia, as I said, first of all, we have to stop the unsustainable mining practices, the bad, improper mining practices. We have to reclaim the lands as quickly as possible. I mean, I think the last time, about 2 weeks ago, now Dr. Mensah was talking about this. We have to reclaim the lands, because if you don't, the heavy metals are in the soil. Plants not ever be good so they will pick it up and they'll get into the food and they'll get into our bodies. And say, stop the unsustainable mining practices, reclaim the lands. And this is one of these are the immediate steps. So this is where this thing about the strict enforcement of these
then I mean as an ordinary person, you work at the state level, na me as an ordinary person, makoto, matontos,
very, very difficult, Dr. Asante, to say, because you see, you have to eat, and it's difficult even to know. I mean, where is this coming from? And whether it's exposure. And this is where environmentalists and environmental groups are calling for the state of emergency, because this is critical. I have control right now. How do I know the heavy metals won't and not heavy metals need? I can't know. And you take it in, and it's a concern. What then do you eat? Do we import contumely? Do we, I mean, it's a serious concern. And the point is that let's stop for a moment, and this is why people are calling for the state of emergency. I think that let's take a pause and reconsider these, reclaim the lands, let's educate, let's do the sustainable mining. There are ways in which we can do this without necessarily harming the environment the way we are going. And see, unfortunately, contemporary way, we are eating, we just have to say that just consume everything in moderation and think about the fact that it could be, might be having an impact for your health. It's not saying it's the reality that is out there. And because sometimes a chronic effect, a woman kitten, and see, because the impact, you won't find it right now. But over time, all of this will come home. I mean, we say the chickens will come home to roost. So that's the concern. Unfortunately, we can't look at contemporary and see, say, heavy metals home, but we have to think about the fact that we could be consuming diseases, or we could be consuming these toxins that are bringing diseases, lots of reproductive impairments, different ailments. And that is why people are crying every day. Said this is an emergency situation. It's not just a money thing.
Waka nankofu bekese yes council enunti only clear state of emergency 1 year sa ne me a unye ne se ehonso ubetu wani na yenya hwe na mum nkrofo suggestion na say mankrofo license na wonye proper mining mining ni yen hold on now and I say one mankrofo license na wonye proper mining na nkrofo supervise na nkozo emu na wan.
Yes, so we could have, but once you hear proper mining, it's well regulated, well coordinated, and therefore the impacts are limited, right? If any. So, for instance, in other places, we have small scale mining, and imagine, for instance, you have a group that is mining, the environmental people who are involved, and then so they will be mining sustainably. And you see, because we're saying that it shouldn't be at the cost of my health. What I say, and